Hi, everyone. Welcome back. She said, pausing for a technical difficulty, a technical opportunity. I'm Abby Hecker, and here we are. And I don't have my glasses on, and I'm staring at the screen, and I'm saying to myself, why is everyone so blurry? Oh, there we are. That was me. So I just before we came live, I went and looked at the weather. That's a serious mistake. Oh my goodness, we're going to have freezing rain again. Just to keep things interesting and slick. I think I'd prefer sleek, really. So what's that going on over there? All right, enough of this. It's time to get focused. I did this amazing thing yesterday. I just wanted, before we jump into our theme today, which is you're winging it. Awesome. You have wings, right? You have the wings? Good. Yesterday, I went and did something I have not done in far too long. And oh boy, was it fun. I went to the brilliantly tiny boutique recording studio to the east of the city of Ottawa called Studio 9. It is owned and overseen, ruled by Dave Poulin, who is a thing of beauty and a joy forever, and his remarkably, astonishingly talented partner in crime, Lucy Lavallee, who has become a puppet maker. Not a hand sock puppet maker, but the beautiful traditional carved wooden marionettes. She's a marionette maker. And how she learned it was online with a coach who lives in Iceland. I said, "You've learned this with a Viking?" And she said, "Right?" Anyway, she said, "Abby, the most crazy thing." So she started working on a puppet, and then she started working on another marionette. And this is, by the way, like 2 years ago, right? It looks like her collection looks like she's been doing it for 20 years. And she said, and then she had this idea for this character, and then she had an idea for another thing, and she was drawing a sketch of the face, how she saw the face and how she saw the character and the intention and everything. And she was doing the hair and everything. And then she put it down. She came back. She said, "Good heavens, I've drawn Abby." And I said, "Okay, and I'm sorry, who is this character?" And she said, "Oh, she's the troublemaker in the village." And I said, "Lead me to her. Show me the artwork." Well, she showed me the artwork, and it was alarming. Good morning, Maggie. It was, and I don't mean alarming in a bad way. I mean alarming in when people somehow manage to walk by you and grab hold of your soul and then put it on a page somewhere. And I said, "Good God, that's me. That is me." And she said, "Right, right." And she said, "So the plan was just to do the marionette." And then I was thinking, oh, I could do a little show. They have them in the village. And then I was thinking, oh, I could have a theater and people could come. Meanwhile, her husband, Dave, is going, "Oh no, oh no, oh no. My quiet solitude in the country shattered." And it was very funny. Meanwhile, the client is sort of sitting there, when is it going to be all about me? And he has created a beautiful, magical children's book series. They're just lovely. They're just so pretty. And so she said, "Well, then we decided it would be better as a movie." Dave's nodding his head. And she said, "So of course you need to voice her." And I said, "Oh, Lucy, I would love to voice. This is my alter ego here." And she was telling me all about how she was nosy and she was snippy and she just couldn't let things go. And I said, "Yes, I see how you've worked on this. I've spent far too much time telling you far too much about me." Anyway, that was the start of the day. And then I got to go back into a studio for the first time with this wonderful, wonderful man at the helm. And Dave and I did so many government recordings back when the federal government of Canada said anything that's in print needs to be available as it should be for the visually impaired or anybody. But some of the projects that we had to record were just hysterically wrong, just wrong. And so we're suddenly in a studio again, and the client is there. And so then Dave says, "I don't think I've ever laughed so long and so hard and had such a great time doing those awful, long, and just overwhelming projects with Abby," which is, it's music to your ears. So I said, I'm having this wonderful time, and my favorite thing is shifting the mood in people when I'm working in public, when I'm one-on-one, when people can see me and I can trigger their sense of themselves again. And I said, but I got to tell you, getting in a studio and putting on the headphones and creating the opportunity for somebody to come off a page, bring the words off the page and breathe something into them. That it's hard to find anything better than that. So both of them, well, actually all three, when Lucy was back in, they all said, really? And I thought, oh, good heavens. So who knows, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all shapes and sizes, who knows what that triggered? But it was so much fun, just so much fun. Which brings me to today and today's conversation. A great deal of us wing it. And we don't wing it because we left it until the last minute, although that does happen. And we don't wing it because we're not prepared to do the work, although that does happen. We wing it because there's a certain amount of exhilaration. The French word frisson, there's a kind of a tingle, partly adrenaline and partly I wonder if I can actually defy gravity, right? It's just kind of fun. However, the thing that I'm asking today is winging it. Oh, awesome. You have the wings, right? You have the wings. And when I do that, people say, what? You have the wings, right? You're going to wing it? You have the wings? No, it's a euphemism. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. It's a strategy if you're winging it. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm also very thrilled to announce that today, being the 31st of March, means that there is only one sleep left until birthday month. And briefly, let's talk about birthday month. I celebrate for the full month, and I do it for a couple of reasons. I do it because there are so many things to celebrate, so many battles fought and narrowly won, so many chances took, so many paths not taken, so many altercations that rounded themselves and came out okay, and others that didn't. And every single one of them, and I'm not talking every minute, reliving every single second of every single moment, but every milestone deserves its moment. However we came through it, if we skated through it sideways with something on fire, or we strolled in looking like we meant to do that, they all deserve their little moment, their pat on the back, we are not worthy. Because every possibility comes with challenges. Gary and I were at the Rideau Club on Saturday night, and oh boy, I have to tell you, the Rideau Club on a Saturday night, the Rideau Club at a gala, the Rideau Club with people coming out to, of course, wear their finest, and of course, hob and nob with the knobs and the hobs. Also, though, to give back, to recognize that they didn't do it alone. And while they're all walking around, this is my other good siding, there is a look in their eye when you stop and you kind of nod, and they know that they're there by the grace of something. And so when there's an opportunity to give back, Sam LaPrade has this wonderful project. She calls it An Hour to Give. And the hour is the time that she spends on radio or television celebrating people who've really gone the extra mile. And Sam was emceeing the evening and running the auction. And she is a force to be reckoned with. It is a master class in watching someone touch hearts. You just wished you'd brought the notepad to make notes, but you couldn't possibly keep up. And all of these events all coming together in a time when it's so easy to feel overwhelmed. It's so easy to feel that it's just too much. And even if I tried, what's the point? We all get there. And so when I was laughing with Dave and Lucy and our client Dan Mayo, who, by the way, is a pretty fabulous Irish singer. When you look him up, find him on YouTube. His children's books are very sweet, and they're all about the environment. And it was a real honor to voice this one and possibly more. And what they're all trying to do is do something differently, not make a difference, but create difference. And the idea of creating difference, the idea of creating options, the idea of saying, and we can also look out this window, is for all of us who forget that there's more than one window, right? And when I was talking to somebody at the Rita Club Saturday night, and they said, what do you do other than all of this? And I said, well, Gary and I have this project. We remind people, we coach them back off the brink of it's not working. And she was actually the freelance photographer for the Ottawa Business Journal. And she said, what does that mean, coaching back from the brink? And I said, well, for most of us entrepreneurs, we're rebels, right? We're the benign juvenile delinquent who looks at what is and says, I'm not doing that, and I'm not doing it that way. And then they stroll off and they do it their way. And I call them the Jack Sparrows, you know, the pirate, irascible pirate captain of the Black Pearl, Pirates of the Caribbean, infused with that mischief that only Johnny Depp could bring. And you don't want to be Jack Sparrow, and you don't really want to have a Jack Sparrow in your life, because no end of devastation and confusion. But you love the idea of a Jack Sparrow. You love the idea of challenging a Jack Sparrow, maybe for just a moment, because it all seems magical. And so I said all this to her, and she said, oh, absolutely. And I said, so what happens to us when we are in our Jack Sparrow moment is that quite often it works. Quite often we do win, we catch the prize. We are the dog that chases the car and ends up with a Porsche. And in the case of the Jack Sparrow, in the case of so many entrepreneurs, when it works well, you wake up the next day and you're Family Guy. You're not a pirate king. You're not a defy the gravity person anymore. You're wearing the sensible suit and you're sitting at board meetings and you are bored beyond belief. And then after the boredom becomes the grim, because this is not what we set out to be. It's not who we are. It's not how we're wired. And it's such a shame. And it's so saddening. And what I do, what Gary does, what we do together is say, you want to get your pirate king queen back? Watch this. We know the art of winging it. We know what it means to wear wings. We know what it means to rehearse the possibilities and then just allow it to fly free and hang on for dear life. That's how I've always lived. That's how Gary has lived. That's how we all, when we make a difference, that's how we all live. Sam LaPrade does it. Lisa Larda, who is on the most fabulous cruise right now, when she got started, she was saying, I'm not doing it if that's the way we're doing it. I'm not doing it, and I don't care. I have a plan, and her plans work. Her plans don't work because she just randomly flings things at walls. They work because she creates a strategy. She has the plan that is based on the idea, and then she executes the outcome. Think, plan, do. She's brilliant at it, and it works, and she's a poster child for it. Sam LaPrade has done the same. When you have something that defines you, and there isn't a job, there isn't a category, there isn't an employer who thinks they want that or need that, you make your own. And then you say, oh, hi, yeah, this is what we do. Here's our card. And they say, oh, wow. You say yes. And by the way, they come in blue. And are you interested? And what we want to be able to say, I just have to click this thing. I get a little notification when it looks like there's something that shouldn't be. Spam, maybe? Anyway, that's done. So the art of winging it. We want it to be spontaneous. There's a famous quote from one of Hollywood's original star makers, who was always making these ridiculous statements that were backwards and confusing. He said, and he was famous for saying, "We're going to rehearse this thing until it's spontaneous." And you know, he's very much not wrong. So we're going to talk about that. Hang on. All of us are CEOing. All of us, at one point or another, fall victim to CEOpathy. All of us find that we have lassoed something that has no intention of being tamed, and we can't figure out how to unhook ourselves. And that's okay. That's exhilarating. That makes you say, woohoo. So when we're going to wing it, the first thing we have to choose is why and how. Why are we doing it? It has to be more than simple, sheer, independent cussedness. We want to have an outcome. We want to have a destination. We don't want to get in the car and sit in it at the end of the driveway, waiting for the idea to come. We'd like to know before we get in the car, before we pack the bag, before we tell everybody how long we're going to be gone. So we need a concept. We need a vision of our idea, of our purpose, and our outcome. So we begin at the beginning, and we have a map, and we put the little thing where we are. You are here, and you want to be there. And then we draw the little line to get us from where we are to where we want to be. However, we also have to stop for a minute as we're loading supplies into our little boat and say, why do we want to go there? What is our purpose? What is it that we want to see and do and become and transform on our way and when we get there? When we go, this happens all the time, when we go to an event called happy hour, and people say, let's go to happy hour. Yeah, let's go to happy hour. Yeah, let's do that. People are going with the idea in mind that when they get there, they will find happy. It almost never dawns on people that we individually and collectively, because when it's collectively, it's exponential, we are the ones who are actually bringing the ingredients of the happy. We are the recipe for the happy. Before we get there, it's a rehearsal. It's an empty room with people setting up in anticipation of happy. When we went to the Rito Club, it looked effortlessly, singularly sleek. And I know from having put on events that took hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and many, 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 many hands to make light the work. And it was transformative. And you look around, you think, well, isn't this amazing? We went into the meet and greet area, and everybody looked fabulous. And of course, that just happened. You know, you were out slinging bales of hay and mucking out the barn, and you said, oh, I have to go to the Rito Club. And you go inside and you close your eyes and you go, yes. And instantly we were Cinderella. Nope. We either have the tux and get it cleaned, or go and rent a tux and discover that it didn't ship and they have to cobble together an alternative. We discovered that the shoes we were planning to wear don't fit because there's something in them. And now we have to do a second. Good morning, Freddie. It's good to see you. all these things that come up at the last minute and say, hi. And, and you say, this is the life of a CEO. This is the life of a person in charge. This is the life of someone who said, I should have brought more supplies because there's too many supplies going on. So where we are when we are embarking on an adventure, and Maggie and I were strategizing her upcoming adventure soon. I said, what is the plan? And then we talked about the plan. And I said, and how do we intend to implement the plan? What are the tools? What are the strategic moves? What are the tricks we have up our sleeves? And we discussed those. And I said, and in the process, as you're talking to all the people who are going to be there, why do you think they are there? Well, they're looking for a surprise. They're looking for a change. They're looking for something new. And I said, and do you realize that in their eyes, that might be you? And she said, yeah, I guess so. And I said, because opportunity is a two-way street. So we have a few weeks to work on this, and we're putting all of the tangible things, all the tools in place, the supplies tools in place. And now we're figuring out how to use them. When Gary and I got ready to go to the Burrito Club Gala, we strategized, we brainstormed all the possibilities, all the things that could happen, and then we made provisions for them. So that in the likelihood that this and this connected, we were ready, and we looked effortlessly ready, and we were in retention mode. We were in opportunity mode and welcome mode and listening mode. When we sat at dinner, it was a past president of the club beside Gary, and on my side, there was a former ambassador for Canada to all fabulous, glorious foreign places. And we sat there, we came in together, sat down at dinner, and then talked to each other when dinner was over, because this was extraordinary. We got names of people and that we had wanted to meet, and arranged to exchange business cards and to hop on LinkedIn and connect. Why? Because we were all there for a very important reason, for a really worthy cause. And if that happened once, the likelihood is we can make it happen again. And we've already seeded the ground. We already know each other. This time there's no early heavy lifting. So let's talk about the strategy in how we make sure we have the right wings for the right flight, shall we? Winging it is the art of staying close to the box and having the capacity to step in and out of it, to recognize the lines, hold the crayons, and color within and without, depending on the possibilities for excellence. When we conform without question, we get more of what we had. When we break the rules without thought, we get more than we know what to do with. If we use frameworks that are familiar to everyone, and we are seen, we are witnessed, we are connected with, while we are slaloming around the box, in and out, dancing between the rules, honoring the work people have done, finding ways to embellish slightly, to put our own signature thumbprint on it. This is the way everyone crosses the bridge. This is the way I cross the bridge. We all get to the other side. My way is memorable. Everybody's way is a commute. I get there too. I'm commuting as well. But I'm commuting in a way that causes people to say, good heavens, what's she doing this time? And what that propels forward is not merely my identity and my impact, but it awakens curiosity in other people. It inspires mischief in their eyes. It causes that small smile at the corner of the mouth. And in that momentum of those ingredients, the way they commute changes a little. Changes. It has a little more edge, has a little more of their attitude, their signature move. Everybody gets to be a tiny portion of Jack Sparrow for a while. Not to walk away from what we wanted, what supports and serves us, but to imbue it with something a little magical. Because there is nothing sadder than seeing a warrior walking in harness. There is nothing sadder than seeing somebody who ignites and inspires, sitting quietly because no one is ready. Sitting quietly, waiting for the opportunity, fondly, caringly. When what we want to see is we want to see them tripping the light fantastic and working their magic. So the project umbrella is Pivotry in motion. A pivot is a hard turn, a sudden realization that that's not working anymore. Pivotry is our capacity to turn ahead of the warning, to anticipate and adjust, to recalibrate and slalom our way through rather than fall off the cliff or hit the wall and land hard. It is our capacity to look at the different aspects of our personality and bring them out. Yesterday, when talking with Lucy, for instance, her character, the one she said, oh my goodness, I've drawn Abby. And oh my gosh, Abby can certainly play her. And then I show up and we start talking about it. Good morning, Rhea. And she's a nosy busybody. And she's going to do it because it's the right thing to do, right? And then I go in the studio and I sit down with this beautiful children's book. And I'm speaking this in this warm and exciting and lovingly welcoming voice. And Dave, when we paused, he says into my headphones, it's a little unnerving when you do that, when you shift like that. I say, yeah, picture it from my side. I'm the one in here with me. And we had the most wonderful day because it was filled with people who have been slaloming their way in and out and around the boxes. Dave, when he semi-retired from the way he was living and working, musician, singer, songwriter, tech for recording, he said, if I'm going to build a studio, I'm going to build it at home. I don't want to be lugging equipment anymore. I did that. It got old many, many years ago. They can bring their equipment to me. And he built it. And it's tiny and perfect. And he has everybody coming out to do their thing. And when I walked in and I said, oh my gosh. And he said, right? And I said, yeah. And he said, I love it when people do that because I know there's going to be work coming in. And he's busy all the time. Whenever he wants to be busy, he's busy because he has done something that allows so many, I was going to say all, so many of his colleagues, so many art people to find a place to make it come alive. And I said, yeah. He said, I watch your videos. You know, you need a tech. And I said, dear God, you think I don't know that? He said, well, and when you drive away and your head is spinning with all these possibilities, this is the excitement. In the middle of everything in the world going up and down, and you know, since the dawn of time, it has gone up and down. There have been floods, and there have been famines, and there have been disasters of all kinds of natures and proportions, as there always will be. And many of us get inundated. And those of us who can swim to the shore and grab onto the tall rushes and brushes by the side and climb out before the house floating by catches us and takes us with it. We're all looking for ways to regain, retain, reclaim our inner Jack Sparrow, our inner Tinkerbell, who, you know, adorable little fairy, but every so often you got to look in her eye and you think, whoa, that's dangerous. That wand is loaded. We all have this capacity. And the saddest thing every day is when we wake up and realize that it's not in our grasp anymore. That something has happened just enough times that it's no longer our default, and we don't know if we're going to get it back. So the winging it formula, the winging it formula. Molly, well, good heavens, how are you? How lovely to see you here. So here is the technique. When I say to people, the rule in marketing is find out what they want and give it to them. That is a two-way street. Because the other side of the coin is find out what we want and give it to us. And there are three sides to every coin. The third side is the side we spin on between ours and theirs. And the technique is this. First time I said this to Maggie, she laughed really hard. And I said, you get a piece of paper, right? And you get a weapon of mass construction, right? You get a piece of paper, weapon of mass construction. And you can put numbers if you like. And what you do is you write down everything you don't want. Use a second piece of paper if you need it, or a third. Write down everything you don't want. Well, I don't want this, and I don't want him, and I certainly don't want that. And oh God, remember the last time when we got this? Yeah, we don't need this again. Write those down. You don't have to write a story about it. The minute you write the word, that's your code word, your cue word. You know exactly what you're talking about because you're not showing this to anybody unless you say, Abby, I need help with this, and we'll laugh and laugh. Write down everything you don't want. You know what's left? What you do want. Circle that, underline it, write a heart around it. Turn the page over. Get their attention. Find out what they want. Give it to them. How do I find out? Ask them. Ask them. In a perfect world where time and money are no object, what's the top three things? And they'll tell you. When time and money are no object, what are the top three things? They'll tell you. Guaranteed. And then you get to look at those three things, and you look at your list. And do any of those three things live on the side, not doing that again? Or do any of them live on the side, this is what I want? Because there's always a match. When I do a live show, when I go anywhere, and I know I'm going to be spending time with people, I am looking for the thread, the nugget, the sensation, the memory, the story, the purpose that connects us the most directly. When I got in the client's car yesterday, the client's very proud of this vintage automobile, older than most people, almost as old as you can do that on television. And I said, wow, you don't see these very often. And he said, no. And boy, is this a sturdy car. Yes, it is. And then we drove in this tank out to the event. And he said, I bet you haven't been in a car like this in a while. And I said, actually, oddly enough, when I moved back here in Ottawa 2.5 years ago, I had to leave behind a car of this vintage, and I loved it. And he said, really? You drove a bathtub? You drove a boat? And I said, no, I drove a vintage convertible. And it was the pride and joy of my existence for many years. And he said, oh, because he was surprised that I would have done that. And then he hadn't prepared to have a conversation about the value and the joy of owning something that came with such a legend. And so he didn't really know how to address it because he hadn't thought that was going to be the conversation. So because I recognized what was going on, I wove an opportunity for us to talk about the vintage values. And that brought us back to his book and the vintage values where there is a small child who wants to hear a story. And the small child either wants to hear a story from a parent, a guardian, a grandparent, a friend, a teacher, or they want to have it played and they want to listen to it. That's a vintage legend experience. It is from the time immemorial that we have sat at the feet of storytellers at campfires and learned about who we are and where we're from and where we're going. So, weave that back, and then we get to the location, and the client suddenly realizes the long history that I have with the studio owner and with the creative partner. And suddenly this client is caught up and swept away in a world that he is part of as a songwriter, as a singer, as a musician, as a book writer. He didn't realize the many layers that are around him. He did not realize that he was going to be winging it. He thought that his event was going to be like all the events prior, when he would take his song or his story out to the recording studio and his friend would help him lay down the tracks. He had no idea. And so on the drive back, he said, that was unexpected and quite delightful. And I said, isn't it? Isn't it? So how do we get there? How do we get there? We get there by asking, what do we want? What do they want? And then we walk toward it. And the simplest way to find out what they want is to ask them. When you go to a gala and it's a fundraiser, it's a charity, and you say to yourself, they could just write a check from home. Of course they could. What they want is to experience some element of magic, some element of, I'm valued, I'm seen. It's not just about the check I can write. Someone is reaching out to me. I am connected. As Lisa Larter was saying this morning on social media, high touch, which is human, will always be more powerful, more important, more transformation than high tech. High touch, connecting, the magic, paying attention, allowing things to fly, believing in Jack Sparrow, even if we're Family Guy. You make a list, not a to-do list, of all the things you're not good at, laugh, turn the page over, and say, seriously, what do I want? What do I want more than anything? Write it down. Where you want to have it come from, what do they want more than anything? What is their goal? What is their dream? What is their ambition? What feeds them? I wrote a business book quite a few years ago. I'm revamping it. It's coming out with the Pivotry collection this month. When you invite somebody over to your house and you know they like a very particular kind of coffee, and you have the option in the store to buy that coffee, knowing that they're coming, what would possess you to buy a different kind? I don't know. I just felt like something different. I thought they might like. No, you know what they like. You know that they are comforted by it. Buy the other one too, if you like. If you're inviting them over, it's their day. It's not yours. It's their day when they come. It's please come. They are the guest. Find out what they want and give it to them. And then put a sparkler on top. Be the magic. Find out what they want and give it to them. How do I find out? Be observant. Watch what they do. Ask. What do we want at the end of it all? We want to feel seen and heard and valued. What is the challenge that we are facing with the new technology emerging? We're rushing to get to the destination. We're not willing to do the work to get to know how to participate in the receiving. We just want to push a button. It's not how it works. We have to understand the button we're pushing. We have to understand what their outcome is so that there are no surprises to us. They seemed so nice. Sure. Did you pay attention? Did you ask questions? No, I just thought, that why would you just think that they? Because we don't want to do the work. The mistake is that the work creates the size of the value of the win. If you could just stroll across the finish line, it wouldn't be a spike the ball moment. If you don't have to do the heavy lifting, if you don't have to ask the hard questions, if you don't have to listen to the answers, if you don't have to, yesterday was a complicated day and I had 4 things that were on the list and all of a sudden the third thing wasn't happening. And I literally had no idea what to do with myself. I was saying to Gary, I got up, I sat down, I got up, I sat down, I walked 5 steps this way and 5 steps that way. And I realized what I was doing and I stopped myself by hanging on to something because my brain was saying, what, stop. And he said, at what point did it occur to you that you had a break now? And I said, well, it didn't, you see, because I hadn't planned on a break. So I was planning on full momentum. And I when you take a break, you have to get your momentum back up. And I didn't think I had the window of time to do this. And I said, it was very unsettling because I tried to anticipate. What came of that was being able to explain and share and laugh and collaborate with Maggie on what it means to anticipate the unanticipated as I'm talking with you today. I'm winging it. Hallelujah. You have the wings, right? You have the wings. What? The wings? Yes, winging it. You know how they strap on? I'm going to jump out of a perfectly good airplane. You have the parachute. Yes. Oh, it's right here. Is it on you? What? No, I'll do it later. No, do it now. Do it now. Not when you're jumping. Do it now. Why? Why? Why don't I wing it? Well, because, so, and the thing is, we don't actually have wings. So it doesn't matter. Tomorrow is birthday month. Actually, in Australia and all the places across the water, it's already birthday month. Birthday month is the time to say, how can I defy gravity today? How can I give thanks for all the times I did? How can I do it differently? How can I cause the world the utmost damned astonishment? How can I bring some of the joy and share it? You never run out. There's always more. Share the joy, surprise people. The laughter fills the joy cup back up. As a CEO, people are looking to us. As the decision maker, people are hoping and expecting that there is a strategy, there is a plan, there is a blueprint, there are guardrails. Winging it does not mean that we abandon them all and terrify the people around us. Winging it means that once we achieve readiness, we ask for ideas and inputs. The more the better, the wilder the better, the crazier the better, from everybody on the team. Are we going to change at the last minute, at the 11th hour, and implement it? Maybe not. Probably not. On the off chance that there is something that someone is bringing that we can introduce, then we will do it because everything else is in readiness. The very last minute in a rehearsal in college, one of the actors flubbed a line, got a word wrong, and it was hilariously funny. And the director said, "Keep it." And the actor said, "Seriously?" "Yes." And we were all grinning. And then on opening night, as we all got to that moment and the actor said it and the audience fell off its chairs collectively, we knew what it was when you see the magic, catch the magic, share the magic. That is winging it. Not abandon the idea, not abandon the work, but see the magic, catch the magic, share the magic to level up. And we can all do it when we're ready. There were people not ready yesterday. There will be people not ready today. There will be people for whom safety and comfort zone, even if it is more like a discomfort zone now, feels smarter because it's familiar. And they will reject magic. They will knowingly regret the rejecting. They will not be ready to try. And until they are ready, we have to give them the time they need. We have to encourage them. We have to thank them. We have to share with them. We have had those moments too. We have been not ready. All of us, everybody here, everybody who's watching and not commenting, we have all had not ready moments. It's raining outside. It's supposed to freeze rain this afternoon. So in anticipation, I'm wearing my, I don't think so, I'm wearing my Viking jacket. It's got all the colors that says, don't care. Don't care that you're raining. Don't care that the sky is the color of the pavement today. I'm walking here this way. In order to be able to wing it this morning, I had to have the jacket, didn't I? I had to know what the weather was going to be like. I had to be ready. And I am. Not always, but most of the time. Someone comes up I don't know and says, I need to ask you a question. Something, 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 something. I don't already have the answer, but I'm ready to have the answer. I'm ready to give myself permission to have the answer. I'm ready to make a mistake on the way to having the answer and laugh at the mistake and invite them to laugh at my mistake. I am not my mistake. I'm human. Humans have the capacity for mistakes. So here we are. It's the 31st of March. We have, in business terms, we have completed the first quarter of the year. We have learned some things. We have been delighted by some things and horrified by some things. And so now we get to choose what to do with all the things we've learned, how to prioritize them, how to say, yeah, not again, probably. The other day, Gary decided he needed to do a workout. He said, this is what I'm doing. I'm doing it as I'm texting you. And I said to myself, he's going to be in a great deal of pain. I didn't say anything because in the middle of a workout, you don't say to people, are you sure you should be doing that? Because they're doing it. What happens is you're pretty much okay right after the exercise, but tomorrow you're not. And so on that tomorrow, I got a text from him saying, ow. That's it. It's ow, small letters. And I said, do you need me to carry you someplace? Yes. This is the joy and the OMG of winging it. It's magical. So for all of us CEOs, all of us Jack Sparrows, all of us occasional family guys and Tinkerbells, it's worth it. It's worth it. Because survival is baseline. Survival does not mean grow and thrive. Survival means stay alive. What we are looking for is the win, right? Don't forget us Caribbean kids. Absolutely, absolutely. Every single one of us from everywhere, we are bringing our capacity to wing it, to strive and thrive. And I'm so proud of you. And when it's hard, and when the striving and the thriving hit a wall, by now you know that I've got a lot of walls I've hit. There are lots of hard places I've landed. And it has taken me a while to say, okay, let's try not to do that again right away. And get up and reset and rethink and restart. So when it's hard, you can reach out. And all you have to do is say, ow. And we can discuss. And we can figure out where your magic is and how to tap into it. Is that fair? All right. By the time I talk to you again, it will be birthday month. No end of fun. So remember, be good to you. You get to share birthday months too. You deserve it. And remember to hug your loved ones because they deserve it too. Right? Okay. Thanks for watching. You are awesome.